Dr. Vegapunk has always been an important character in the background of One Piece, with the viewer constantly hearing about his accomplishments and creations, but never quite putting a face to a name. Although we never saw his face, Oda made it very clear that Vegapunk was going to be important in the future of the story, hinting to Dr. Vegapunk as far back as Alabasta. Vegapunk has been responsible for most, if not all, of the Navy's technological advancements. The Navy's ability to safely travel across the Calm Belt, items being able to eat devil fruits, creating the pacifistas, and most recently creating the Seraphim. The Seraphim, which are so powerful that the Marines no longer need the 7 warlords, one of the 3 world powers in One Piece. After over 1,000 chapters into the story, we finally get to see Dr. Vegapunk, right?
Nope.
I'm pretty sure this is not Dr. Vegapunk. Vegapunk has always been described and referred to as a man. Whilst many fans may look at this as Oda surprising us, Oda may be baiting us into believing that this is Dr. Vegapunk. I believe there is enough evidence to prove that this is not Dr. Vegapunk. I am sure we have all seen the striking parallels between Punk Hazard and Egghead, from the Straw Hats almost getting eaten by a large fish, the crazy weather surrounding the island, a supernova being present on the island, a large laboratory with a world-renowned scientist on it. The Punk Hazard kids and even the Marines make a comeback in this arc. These parallels are intentional by Oda. He would not go out of his way to make a carbon copy of an arc he has already done. So what do these parallels mean for Dr. Vegapunk? They mean quite a bit actually. Dr. Vegapunk is the obvious parallel to Caesar Clown in this arc, so let's start with him. When we were first introduced to Caesar Clown, we saw him in his gas form. It wasn't until later in the arc that we saw what he actually looked like. I think Vegapunk will be handled in a similar way. We get to see this female character claiming to be Vegapunk, and later we get to see what Vegapunk actually looks like. Vegapunk also has a pattern for all of his creations. Literally every cyborg animal on Karakuri Island has a number associated to it. Every pacifista has a number, all of Vegapunk's robots have numbers, and even the Seraphim themselves likely have a number or a special name. If this was actually Dr. Vegapunk, why would he have the number 2 on his clothing? This tells me that this woman is either a very advanced robot, or an assistant to Dr. Vegapunk. Going by the parallels between Punk Hazard and Egghead, this female character is most likely the Monet of the arc, and is an assistant to Dr. Vegapunk. Even though this woman said, "You can call me Dr. Vegapunk," we literally just left Wano with Yamato constantly calling herself Oden Kozuki. As One Piece fans, we should know not to take things at face value. I highly doubt Oda would spend over 1,000 chapters just to say, "Surprise, Vegapunk is a woman." That would be pretty underwhelming in all honesty. Oda is saving a very special reveal for Dr. Vegapunk, and using this character to bait us in. Caesar Clown was first shown in chapter 658, but it wasn't until chapter 664 that we actually saw what he really looked like. As of the time of this video, we are on chapter 1061. I would not be surprised if Oda was waiting until chapter 1064 to actually reveal Dr. Vegapunk, as Oda has done things like this before in the past. I also want people to think about this logically. Dr. Vegapunk is the smartest character in the series. For him to challenge a Yonko crew by himself would be the literal dumbest thing he could possibly do. There are an infinite amount of ways Dr. Vegapunk can get deleted by the Straw Hats. Imagine Vegapunk trying this against a different Yonko, like Shanks, or Kaido, or Buggy. Okay, maybe Buggy isn't the best example. The fact that this arc parallels Punk Hazard tells us a lot about what we can expect. Punk Hazard introduced us to Smile Devil Fruits, and how Caesar Clown was able to create them. As smart as Caesar Clown is, he was only able to create Smile Devil Fruits from closely working with Dr. Vegapunk. I believe this will be the arc in which we learn many incredible details about the Devil Fruits, their origins, creation, and even things we never thought about. The biggest takeaway from this parallel is that Caesar Clown was a bad guy working for even worse people behind the scenes. There is a strong possibility that Dr. Vegapunk will be an actual good person and a future ally of the Straw Hats. Like many other characters in the past, Vegapunk views the Straw Hats as enemies simply for being pirates. But like many other characters, once he gets to know them, his perception will change. Caesar Clown was secretly working for Doflamingo, who was working for Kaido. Do not be surprised if Dr. Vegapunk is secretly working for a very powerful person in the future. My money is on Dragon. Oda has been steadily showing us members of the MAD's research team ever since the time skip. Caesar Clown in Punk Hazard, Judge Vinsmoke in Whole Cake Island, and Queen the Plague in Wano. Vegapunk is the final member of the MAD's team to be revealed, but he is the one Oda has been building towards for the longest time. Whilst the other members of the MAD's team are all evil, Vegapunk has to be much more. Oda has spent too much time foreshadowing Dr. Vegapunk for him to just be another evil scientist. Vegapunk obviously has a goal that he is working towards, something driving him to create these pacifistas, something that makes him fundamentally different from the other members of the MAD's research team. Vegapunk's goals and motives will be vitally important to determine if he will be a friend or foe in the future. With Vegapunk finally being introduced into the story, we will finally know what makes him the smartest person in One Piece, and why his creations are so advanced in comparison to the rest of the world. Vegapunk is clearly a step above even the best scientist. Even the greatest achievements of other acclaimed scientists were only attainable from working with him. Vegapunk's introduction to the story will also have massive implications for some Straw Hats, like Frankie and Sanji. Frankie spent 2 years learning from Vegapunk's past research and creations, literally living in Vegapunk's old laboratory. Frankie will definitely have a lot of questions for Vegapunk, and I think he may even get a power-up this arc. Dr. Vegapunk being a member of MADS also has implications for Sanji, being the son of Judge Finsmoke. Oda is definitely building up to something big for Sanji. It is no accident that Sanji had to deal with the Germa in Whole Cake Island, then deal with the Raid Suit and Queen in Wano, both constant reminders of the past he is trying to forget. Now he will be face to face with Dr. Vegapunk, someone who has worked closely with his father. Sanji rejected the Germa's technology after Whole Cake Island. He also rejected the Raid Suit's power in Wano. How will his interactions with Vegapunk affect him in this arc? The Punk Hazard art set the Straw Hats on the path of fighting Doflamingo, and ultimately defeating Kaido. Seeing as this is the first arc of the final saga, I expect this arc to set the Straw Hats on the path of defeating the world government. These are just my opinions and first impressions on Dr. Vegapunk's potential reveal, and what we can expect from the arc ahead. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, or a dislike if you didn't, and consider subscribing for more videos like this in the future.